Hello, Kellyanne Matuskiewicz here from kellyanncorey.com. I'm going to share this. And we'll get started. If you're catching the replay, any questions that you have or any comments I will circle back to, just tag me. As soon as I share this, we'll get started. I'd love for, I was watching Deepak Chopra the other day, and he's like, I'm not gonna get started until I get like 1,000 people. I'm certainly not as well known as Deepak Chopra, but if you're aware, if you're aware of my work and know somebody that would be benefit from hearing this message or receiving this energetic transmission, please do share it with them, either now or the replay. When you pop on, say hello. I'm just gonna open up my kombucha. This one here is called Pure Love, and it has blood orange, hibiscus, and rose in it. I don't know. I think they're really good, and I love the flavor of rose. Did you guys ever, like back in the 70s, they had the like rose soaps and stuff? Rose was really big, or at least it was in my grandmother's house. I don't like that rose so much. Okay, so let's talk about, well, first of all, a couple of things that I want to start off this transmission with, and I want to keep it at a certain amount of time, so I better get rocking and rolling, is, first of all, the information that I'm sharing with you about like shame and the way that it impacts your life, and the way that it mind fucks you and energy block, and the way that it actually like it's holding you back from having the experiences that you know you want to be having. Now, I'm sharing this for self-awareness, and because from a place of understanding like what is happening under the surface, then you could be making empowered choices. I just saw an orb fly by. They've been showing up in my videos lately. So it's not that there's anything wrong. 1, 2, you don't have to go digging for anything to get yourself out of it. Here's where there's mindfuck number 1, is that if you are looking for where things are in your way, or where you're holding trauma, or where you're being held back, you're always going to be searching on that direction. Hey, Phyllis, you're always going to be searching, and whatever you seek, you're going to find. So the information that I'm sharing around this is just simply intended to bring what's happening from your subconscious behaviors, from your trauma responses, right? From the choices of survival or belonging, or, getting along, or not having, inner pain triggered, so that it comes to your awareness, so that you can see your own patterns and cycles for yourself and make a different choice or make a different decision. Okay. Secondly, or thirdly, or fifthly, when I do the work around trauma, you do not have to relive it. I know that there are a lot of people that are afraid of doing some of the inner work because they think it's going to be painful. They think it's going to take a long time. And we are in 2020. The approach to healing and evolution and ascension and remembering who you are, right? Doing this healing work, doing this mind work has advanced just as much as technology has. So have you. So the approaches to, shifting your mindset, shifting your life experience have to be different from what they were 10, 15, 20 years ago. At least that's the direction that my life is moving in, and how I see the sensitive leaders and the empathic entrepreneurs that are here to make an impact on the world, and what they need to do to clear out what's going on within, so that they can be showing up more powerfully and more boldly and more fiercely in the work that they're here to do and to bring. And into the world and have that ripple effect. Now, the association that trauma has to do with it is that many of the healers and the sensitives and the empaths have had traumatic experiences that actually gave you a lot of the skills that you have now. But some of that survival mechanism, some of that energy is still, that coding is still in your being. It's still in your body in some way. So when I'm talking about trauma, we could be talking about childhood trauma. We could be talking about adolescent trauma, not being picked to be a part of the cool kids in school or on the playground. Could be about going through a parent's divorce. It could be going through about death at a really young age and not knowing how to handle it. When I'm working with some of my clients, we're even talking about some like divorces that are happening now and the ways that their life is imploding differently than they thought that it would be, right? So these are big T and little t traumas. Now, how it gets in the way, or what did I title this? Let me get on track. Okay, so the mindfuck it is, and then the energy block it is that when you have these traumatic experiences and you go right into survival mode, right? You go into doing the thing that you need to do to get past it. You'll find that you're on the other side of it, but you subconsciously hold on to the fear or the pain or the heartbreak or the betrayal or the abandonment or the aloneness as a way to make sure that it doesn't happen to you again. It's like this subconscious part of your mind that believes it's keeping you safe by holding on to the pain so that you don't forget what happened, so you don't let it happen again. I might need to say that again. I hope you guys are really feeling that, because there's it's like, if you've had like traumatic experiences or heartbreak or betrayal or abandonment that could, gave you heartbreak. And if you are starting to move forward in your life and you want to attract a romantic partner, or you want to have deeper connections with friendships, and you're finding that it's not happening, or you're finding yourself in patterns of, being connected with someone for a period of time and then like the same thing happens again and the relationship ends, or you find that you're in a cycle of like fighting with your partner over and over again, like just about as you're expanding your business, right? Then you start to have these fights with your partner, and then it creates distraction in your life and from your business. It's like, these are these self-sabotaging subconscious behaviors that people like try to resolve by doing something more, right? Like putting themselves out more, like sharing more posts, or coming up with more programs and courses and things for people to have a benefit from being in your presence. But then it's like all of the doing isn't really getting you the results, right? And then you'll find that it feels harder, right? You're not in flow. Hi, Jeffrey. I was just gonna call you Art. So you're not in flow, right? The things that you're doing start to feel a little bit harder. It feels like you're dragging yourself a little bit more. It feels like you're pushing yourself a little bit more. It feels like people aren't responding as much, right? Well, it's all because like your outer world isn't working out the way that you are desiring and are hopeful for and want, because the inner parts of you are at conflict, right? So there's like cognitive dissonance, which means is that your inner beliefs do not match your actions. Now, when I'm talking about working through your own trauma, where it's like you can be taking the actions to share your art, share your message, put your courses together, put yourself on out in the world for dating, right? Start to share your message more openly and vulnerably, and sharing, doing readings and stuff, and like sharing more of who you are, right? So you're doing these actions, but then the discomfort comes because, or the hardness or the push starts to come because your inner your inner beliefs don't match up. And what I mean by, it's like when your trauma like has got your brain tripped out, because your inner beliefs are thinking it's dangerous, I could be hurt, I'm not going to be accepted, I'm going to be abandoned again. If I put myself out there, my heart will be broken again, right? So do you understand what I'm saying so far? Or it could be your nickname, yeah. Do you understand what I'm saying about like the inner discord, right? So in your mind might say, I really want to have a successful business. I want to feel healthy. I want to be free of aches and pains and anxiety and depression or fear, insecurity about putting myself out there. Right? You could feel the frustration of knowing that there's more of life for you to be experiencing, and your mind says to do these things, and your mind says, well, you're in your own way, right? But there's still something that's not allowing it to happen. So that knowing inside that you could feel more free to express yourself, that you can feel more confident, that you do have a gift to offer this world. Side note is that when this trauma starts to clear and get out of your field, out of your body, and out of your frequency and your vibration, this is where the superpowers start to become even more clear. Your clairvoyance, your knowing, your psychic abilities, the way that you're tuned into yourself, and the deeper you're tuned into yourself, the deeper you're able to tune into others. And so in not doing the inner work, you're not allowing yourself to get to your gifts, to the things that will make your life easier. I'm going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. So how you'll know, so those are some examples of how the discord is showing up in your life, how trauma's in the way, how it's like underlying. And so how do you make the shift? How do you make the switch? How do you blast through it and finally move forward, right? Because the doing isn't working. There's that, oh, maybe they're just dust bunnies. The doing it isn't working. The doing more isn't working. Right? Because it feels heavy. Changing your mindset. Mantras aren't working, right? Because you've got to go deeper. There's something inside that either believes that you're not enough, that you're not worthy, that you're not valuable, that there's actually underlying agreements to not be happy, right? You don't want to be happier than the other people in your life because it's part of you that feels like you'll be left, you'll be abandoned, you'll be kicked out of the tribe. There's some people that I work with, they believe that they needed to take on other people's energy and other people's pain, and they were responsible for it. And they're still running those patterns 40, 50, 60 years later, right? Or, your belief in that there's something wrong with you is attracting these friendships and romantic relationships that are just mirroring it back to you. And as much as you want to work on the relationship, you can't change the person outside of you, but they are showing you more about you. So it's never about changing the outer circumstance. It's about going in. So in order to move through this, blast through and move forward, you've got to be super clear on what it is that you really want to feel, right? Because we get into this mindset of do. And then sometimes that feels too big. Like, you want to lose 60 pounds, but that feels too big, right? Or you want to expand your business. You want to be, living off of the business that you put out there. That you want to be sharing your healing and your unique art on the world, but you're still carrying some vulnerability and insecurity, right? So it gets down to, instead of trying to fix, change, shift this whole big thing, it's about going inside. Okay, what is it that I want to feel? And are you doing the things and showing up because it's coming from a choice that you want to? Are you wanting to be in love because society says you should be in a relationship? Are you wanting to find a relationship because you are too lonely by yourself? Are you settling inside relationships just because you don't want to deal with the chaos and change that will be necessary to leave what's not working anymore? Are you really holding yourself back in your gifts because you're afraid of what other people will think? What is your motivation for what you're doing? Like, how do you want to feel? Right? So tuning into that. What is my motivation for what I want to do? Like yesterday was a great example for me. It was, there was a late Zumba class that, all right, let me just rewind. Why are you doing the thing you're doing? Right. Was it coming from an empowered choice or from a have to? Are you doing it? Like, are you sharing your art and your message with the world and your healing because you feel like you have to, or do you feel like it's something you're choosing to do? Right. So this is where so understanding what your motivation and inspiration is. And then it's like, what are your standards? Like, what is the standards about how I want to feel? Right? So do you want to be doing your work? Like, have you become a business owner or an entrepreneur or leader because you want to, like, I don't know, be working all the time or pushing yourself to do things that you don't want to do? I mean, this is it with, like, again, we're in like 2020 and things are changing, and you're allowed to change, and you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to change your path. Right? And so, like, allow yourself to change your mind in that you don't have to process anybody else's energies anymore. You can let go of the anger and the hate and whatever that was projected onto you. You can, like, let go of the pain that's not yours. Like, it's really okay for you to have a happy life. Let go of the worry of what other people will think. This is your life and you get to create it. And I know that the challenges come when you're actually trying to break from what everybody else is doing. Because I know, you're human, I'm human. We're moving towards, this reality where we're all living superhuman and, sharing all of our gifts and having a ripple effect of healing on the world, and people are waking up and finding each other and, really recognizing what's most important to you. Right? So, just tune in. Like, are you chasing after these outer things? Like, what is really important to you? Okay? And get in touch with your standards, because that is going to start to flip that inner misalignment of your mind and your heart's desires, right? That cognitive dissonance where what you want is your desires and your beliefs and your actions to match up. When you're starting to feel discomfort, there's something's not a match. And I will tell you 99.9% of the time it's inside. And when you shift the inside, the outside changes. So the example I was going to use last night was about going to Zumba class. It was this like late night class, and the part of me was tired, and I don't do anything that is like forceful. Like, if my body needs rest, I'm going to give it rest. I know better. But there was, like, I knew I wanted to go. So I tuned in. I'm like, what are my standards? Well, there's a couple of things. Is one, part of my standards is I want to be moving my body. It just feels good. Not because I have an end goal of to be fit or to lose weight. That is a byproduct. I want to feel good. My standards are to move my body on a regular basis. I know it's good for my mind, my body, and my soul. And one of the things that I say to myself is that I never feel terrible that I decided to go to the gym. I have felt like, and there's times where the decision is to not go to the gym. But that is at a level of self-awareness deeper than any of the shoulds, have tos, what's wrong with me, what needs to be fixed, bullshit, okay? And once that you're in alignment with your own beliefs and your values, and your choices are clear because you're not carrying somebody else's energy, you're not holding on to old trauma to keep yourself safe. So when you're holding on to these old things, it gets very foggy, very hard to see your own truth and what is real for you, right? Is it somebody else's beliefs? Some of the sessions I had this month, the stories that we were clearing were connected to the generations before them, their beliefs. And they hadn't been able to let go of them on their own because they created these subconscious survival mechanisms to keep themselves safe, to keep them belonging, to not be disruptive. And here's the thing. The life is going to lead you to do the things that are going to be for your highest and best good, for the greatest experience that your heart is saying it wants. So when these challenging experiences come up and they're triggering inner trauma, they're triggering inner patterns, they're triggering your inner fears, it's not about going and having to do years and years of therapy to figure out what it is. You get to the energy, right? You get to the energy. And the energy, you have an energy body. It's almost, so you could, an auric field may be a familiar terminology for you, right? You have this energy in your aura. So if you're carrying around trauma, it's going to be heavier and heavier to carry around. And when you're carrying it, even if if you're carrying it because you want to make sure you don't make that mistake again, you're carrying it because it feels like you're safer if you know what to watch out for. If you're carrying it because it's somebody else's and you have some kind of subconscious agreement because you feel like if you let it go, you'll forget about who they are, you'll forget about what they did, or you'll forget about, or they'll forget about you and you won't belong and you'll be abandoned. You're actually attracting the exact experience to you. You're attracting abandonment. You're attracting aloneness. You're attracting the pain and betrayal and the hurt. Or you're keeping the very things that you want away from you. Okay? All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Last thing I'm going to say, today at midnight, Eastern Standard Time, the energy clearing and recalibration session for January special of 1/2020 will be done. You can purchase it today and book it sometime in the future, but that session at that price will be gone. And these are great if you're feeling like your energy's all over the place, if you're feeling like you need to get over a hump, if you know that you've been carrying stuff that's not yours and you want to hand, just working, like transmuting the energy and then opening up your field to get into a space of creation and inspiration and motivation to get your energy back, to get that inspiration back, to get that creativity back, to get that confidence. Because all of that, all your superpowers, your knowing, your intuition, all of this becomes so much more clear when you peel away the layers that you've been holding on to unknowingly. So again, this is not about anything is wrong with you. This is not about we have to dig through trauma. This is about doing a year 2020 process of clearing what's no longer serving you superhuman. Just as if you would call a computer specialist in to clear the virus out of your computer, I'm going to clear your field of the inner viruses that are, trapped in there from trauma, survival, belonging, fear, whatever it is. And I'll tell you one quick story. I did a session this week. Was it this week? I think so. Within 30 minutes, she released trauma that she was holding on to for definitely over 50 years. 50. Yeah, a long time. She was resistant to hold on to it because of some of the reasons that I said today. But because I work with very strong, powerful frequencies, right? That it's like the lower frequencies, the fears don't really have much to stand up against. So when you're thinking about deciding whether or not this session or doing some work with me is something that you're ready for, don't let your limitations, don't let those subconscious fears or the trauma be making the decisions for you, because those aspects believe that they're going to stay safe. Like, they have been developed to keep you safe and keep those survival mechanisms in place. So anything, right? So the action that you take to reach out to Kellyanne to do some work, that already may be a misalignment from your inner beliefs, right? Because there's a belief that says, I'll be safe if I hold on to this trauma. I'll be safe if I hold on to this pain. I'll be safe if I stay in this uncomfortable relationship. I'll be safe if I don't really share my art, my healing, and my message. And that's not true. And so it's gonna become more and more uncomfortable. So if you're uncomfortable, and if you're hearing me, if you're uncomfortable, that's a signal. Because there's a part of you that's trying to tell you that there's something more and better available for you. Don't make this decision to come do some work with me from your mind space. Feel what I've been sharing. And if something stirs within you, get the mind aside and tap into for yourself, what is it that I want to feel, and what are my intentions for my life? And then ask, what is the choice? And let that decision come from that greater aspect of you that's sending the signals that something's out of alignment and something more and better and different is available for you. All right? If you have any questions, message me. If you watch the replay, post below. Again, the special session ends tonight at midnight. And then I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to do single sessions. This is something that just dropped in to do this month of January. Typically, I work with people in a long period of time so that we get to do the clearing right away. And then we move into creation. Because when that crap is out of your way, when the energy of the trauma has been dissolved, you've got potent energy to be creating from. Right? When you're aware of your distractive mechanisms and your distractions and your patterns and your cycles, your awareness is enough to make different choices. You don't have to do, like, I don't know, you don't have to do the thing that your trauma is telling you is going to be too painful. It's not. It's actually more painful to be hanging on to this stuff. And I'm a testament to it. Like, I am who I am today because I did the inner work. And it's just natural within me to find the fastest, quickest, most efficient way. It's just who I am, how I'm built. I see the end result. When I'm doing work with clients, I can see the patterns that are in your system. I can see the energetic misalignments. I can see the beliefs. I can see the where you're holding your pain, where you're holding the energy. And then I help you to release and transmute it. And then, based on what your desires are, I can see the end possibilities, and then we can work on creation. But for now, let's get you over any kind of hump. Let's clear any crappy energy that's been in your field. Let's channel in some clarity that you've been seeking. Let's release some of any of this anxiety or physical discomfort from your body. I mean, I did a session with a friend where, as soon as she cleared the inner energy, she inspired, motivated, forward action, implementing things, executing the ideas. It's like you take the cork out of the champagne bottle and everything just starts flowing. Not erratically and crazily, because it's actually, when you're trying to hold all of this in, it is erratic. It is like, right? It's more flow and fun and play. So I don't know if I finished saying what I was saying, but I think I'm done. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tagging your friends, and I'll be here for any questions. But if you do want that session, please get in there, oh, you know what I'll do is I will put the comment right now so that you can have access to it. I used to be able to pin it, but I don't think you're allowed to do that anymore. Can I? Remove preview. Nope. All right, well, there's the link. I think I'm supposed to stop now. Hold on. Oh, I didn't want to leave the video coughing. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tagging your friends. If you have any questions, message me. But I am having a blast doing these sessions, and I'd love to have you take advantage of it, especially if you've been sitting on the fence and unsure about my work or my approach. These sessions are more than half of the price than they usually are. And if you're watching this after January 31st, and you're interested in knowing more about the mentorship that I do, message me. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and talk soon.